Good day, everybody. It's 17th of January 2025. It's Friday. It's Friday, by the way. Just got out of classes, and instead of me always walking in the same places, I thought I'd go in a little bit of a different area for you guys. Mostly for you guys. The things I do for you guys. It's gonna take me a little while longer before I get home. I gotta go shopping and all that sort of deal too. But y'all worth it. Y'all are worth it. I've been in this area before. This is not too far from a lot of government buildings, and I think, what is this one? That's some government building as well. Nice park. And I've done a video over on that area before, if you recognize that one building in the distance there in the center of the frame. But this is the Palace of the Republic of Belarus. And the writing on the top, you probably can't see it. It's in Belarusian, so I can't read it for you. And well, let me walk on this other side over here. So I'll show you some things about this park here. Some nice lights up there. Horizont, that's a company that makes televisions and other sort of appliances in Belarus. Yes, they do make televisions, big screen televisions in Belarus too. I don't know if they're that great, that's the problem. But you never know, things could get better. You know, they're starting to be a much bigger alliance with China. So a lot of, you know, LG and all those things, a lot of them are made in China, so you never know what's going to happen here. They're still making automobiles here, making very good automobiles. Of course, it's the Chinese, and they do make a lot of other vehicles here, like tractors and big heavy trucks and things like that. They had a company here that made like one of the biggest and strongest trucks ever made, and I guess you can go see it, sort of like a museum sort of a thing, big huge wheels, all that sort of a thing. So anyway, look at that. It still says Novum Godum, still says Happy New Year over there, if you can read it through the cars. Christmas tree. It's a little bit after Christmas, I guess. So I should hold this up. I should make my videos a little bit more scenic. And what are we going to talk about today? One of the things I want to talk about is you never know. It seems like these people in Europe, they never get enough punishment. I'm talking about the leaders, of course. And you know, their economies are doing really bad. People want to throw out Schultz. He knows that. He's going to be gone. It really surprised me if he gets reelected when it comes February, because nobody really likes the guy. I think he's got 24% of the people that approve of him. Starmer, as you know, they change prime ministers in Great Britain like they change underwear. So Starmer, he, you know, if they had an election, he'd be gone. Everybody's really pissed off at that guy too. And well, I should mention about these groomers. I mentioned something about it last time, about, you know, these Pakistani people. What I didn't mention is that Starmer was a big prosecutor, a government prosecutor at that time, and he let all that stuff happen. All these gangs, and they know that they were raping these young girls all the time, and it went on for, what, over a decade. A long time. I don't know. Maybe it was 2 decades. I didn't really catch how long it has been going on. But, you know, they knew about it. And there was some arrest. I don't think, was it during Starmer's time? Or maybe before that? But very little. And, you know, terrible, terrible stuff. And maybe some people suspect that the government is involved in that. And, well, before I go further, I didn't write it in my notes, but I should write now. I mean, I made a note at it towards the back, but talking about these things they do with children. There was somebody that came out on TikTok, and apparently they say that she came out with a video in October. I don't know the name, but I guess, I don't know. She's like in her 20s, her early 20s, maybe 24 years old. And like I said, she came out with a video in October, and she said that there is going to be a big fire in Los Angeles. And the reason for that, I don't know, because I was only told this, and I guess it's going viral, even in Russia. I don't know about the United States. I'm sure it must have gone there. Maybe they took her down. I don't know. Maybe it's blocked. You know, they block. It's strange. Everything is allowed in Russia as far as the media is concerned, and Belarus, of course. So I don't think they block anything, but a lot of things are blocked, obviously, in Europe. A lot of things. You know, that's the freedom of the press, freedom of speech in Europe. You know, and then they talk about Russia. It's incredible, but they block a lot over there. And I think in the United States as well. I don't know. I don't know what gets through on Telegram. I don't live over there, like I say. It would be good if a lot of you would tell me, does everything come over on Telegram, or how much is blocked? Do you get these speeches, like for example, in their entirety of Lavrov or Vladimir Putin, anything like that? And some of the information that I put out about Robert Fico, I don't know if you get that either. Maybe you just, you know, are busy, have other better things to do, and you don't really research it yourself. But apparently this woman, I guess she's like I said, about 24. I think she's a black girl. I guess, I don't know if she is very attractive. I have no idea any of that. You know, when you see some dumpy, ugly people, you know they're maybe going for attention when they say this sort of thing. I don't really understand this stuff. But there's been these accusations also from a lot of like ladies that supposedly used to be involved in this sort of thing in Australia, and I don't really know. And even Mel Gibson has hinted at things, but he hasn't come right out and said anything like that. But they got this real big sex problem with elites. You know, what was this? I don't know if he's a rapper, Diddley or Diddy or something. Or Candace Owens was talking about it, and like drugging women and you know, like orgies and all that sort of thing, and even through Ukraine, and that's pretty much well known. But I don't know, it's really shocking, and it's really hard to stomach if this stuff is really going on. You know, who am I to judge? I'm just some guy sitting over here in Belarus. I haven't seen this stuff with my own eyes. You hear a lot from a lot of people, and supposedly a lot of people that are witnesses. I don't know. If you have enough, and people that don't have anything to gain, that come out and say this stuff, then you can rest assured that there's probably a lot of truth in this. Or a lot of people, they make some sacrifices to get the information out and get nothing to gain. No book deals or something like that. Monica Lewinsky, or who knows? I don't know. But I don't know. I really don't know. Epstein's Island. What is it? Weinstein guy in Hollywood. I don't know. You know, I don't want to. I can't say some of these things. I can't use my own expressions and things like that on YouTube. You never know who's watching. Maybe a lot of more Christianized people, and you know, using some sort of a thing, even if it's not swear words. I can't really say that sort of stuff on here. Maybe I will in sometime in the future if I work at some, or I'm a guest at somebody else's show or whatever. I don't know. You know, maybe their show is the one that will get in trouble, not mine, if I talk that way. I don't know. So what else we have here? So Macron and Starmer, I guess somebody said it's somewhat secret, but it's not really that secret. They're talking about sending troops into Ukraine and as peacekeepers, you know. You know, that's one of the main reasons why Russia went into Ukraine, is that they were obviously preparing a war against Russia. I mean, mostly against the Donbass. They were killing those people anyway, and they signed the Minsk Accords. And I'll talk a little bit of something related to that in a minute here. But the Minsk Accords, and that was supposed to be, as you know, done with Germany and France and you know, and Russia on the other side, and it was supposed to, you know, give autonomy to those areas, not Crimea, because Crimea was already Russian at that time, but we're talking about the Donbass, you know, those two republics, and then of course they added two more after that, Kherson and I don't know, at the moment it slips my mind, but anyway, they rejoined as well because Russia entered that special military operation. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, even after Ukraine signed this, they didn't obey it. The Minsk Accords, they were ratified. There was Minsk I and Minsk II. They were ratified by the United Nations. And Angela Merkel, as you know, and Hollande, who was the leader of France at the time, they admitted, as well as Poroshenko, who was the leader of Ukraine, they admitted that they were not going to honor that. All it was to be used for is to buy time and to continue building up a big military to attack and take these breakaway republics that were, massively, like 90 some odd something percent Russian speaking peoples. And when Vladimir Lenin, like I said, gave it to Ukraine from Russian territory, gave it to Ukraine, they never wanted to be a part of Ukraine ever. Just like the Crimea, when that was taken in 1954, Khrushchev gifted it. I think somebody said he was drinking and all that, and his wife, or he was Ukrainian, I'm not really sure. And he gifted the Crimea to Ukraine, and Stalin gifted a bunch of lands to Ukraine. And if you go back, Ukraine is not really that big of an area, and it never was a country. I guess it was for a country for like 1 year in 1918. And then you have like Bandera, who was this nationalist, and he was willing to do massacres of all sorts of people that were of inferior blood, and Jews, and he loved Adolf Hitler, all that sort of thing. He was killing anybody, like thinking like if you were a communist or maybe if you even looked like you might support the Soviet Union, he was very willing to kill people. Bandera was really, people talk about how many he killed in Poland, I don't know, 40,000 here or whatever, and he even said he's going to cut off their heads and roll them at the feet of Adolf Hitler, who is his idol. And he's responsible for killing millions. Did I say that? Millions in Belarus. But nobody ever talks about Belarus and what Belarus lost at the hands of Stefan Bandera. They only talk about Poland, and Poland was very, very, very few compared to Belarus. So isn't that really strange? I don't understand why Belarus, and Belarus played it down for a long time, hoping to have good relations with all their neighbors and things. A lot of that has been coming out now, that Belarus is less and less afraid to talk about all the people that they lost at the hands of the Banderites. And when you can get to Belarus and you can take a tour from Minsk, this area, and you can go to a place they called Hatyn. I did a video a long time ago on that. I did one also, I think, with Dave from his channel, From the Other Side, and you can look up those and try to watch it. He might have even done another one since that time. I don't know. But looking at those, and most of the people in that village and most of the other ones, you take a guide through there, and even before the special military operation, they told you that the Germans were the ones for the most part in charge, but the ones doing all the killing were the Banderite Ukrainians. And even the Germans, they locked up Stefan Bandera because he scared the crap out of the Germans. He was beyond Nazi. So when you talk about Nazis and neo-Nazis and all that, you have to consider that from one perspective, Stefan Bandera was an uber-Nazi. He was beyond them. And he scared the Nazis even in his brutality and getting people to do, brutal murders and things. Like one of the ones, they did it a few times, maybe even in Poland. They would lock them up and they put them, the people, like in the biggest building they could find in towns and villages. And then they would wrap chains. They would get everybody and they would cram them in there. You couldn't even sit down. You were really, it's like being in a Minsk metro on the blue line, which is crowded all the time. So anyway, the people are shoved in there and they put like chains around the buildings. So, to make sure that they can't get out for the most part, doused it with gasoline and would burn everybody alive, including all of the children. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be talking like this here on YouTube. A lot of people, maybe not watch it, or they cancel because they don't want to hear all this bad news. This is the stuff that happened. You have to look at it in a different way, people. When you hear stuff, bad news, like from me or whatever, I'm not showing you graphic images or anything like that, but if you have your own problems like in life and think, oh, everything's rough and I got it tough, oh, I'm a victim, things like that. If you think about how much worse it is for a lot of people, even today, you look at Gaza, look at some of these places in Lebanon or in the Donbass area, whatever. And then some of these people are even older people. Maybe their children moved away and they're in their 70s or something. Home is destroyed from war, and brought on, of course, by Ukraine. Ukraine, unfortunately, had to say this, but these people and even the soldiers, a lot of these soldiers that are doing this stuff, they normally probably would not be doing this in normal, times, and some of them would, and it's a lot of these ideologies, like I say in a lot of my videos. What the same ideology that's in Israel is, in my opinion, the same ideology that is in Ukraine. And these people are made to think that they're something better than other people, or that they choose a certain group and say we are better than them, and God gave us their land and we have to exterminate them or ethnically cleanse them somehow in some way, and get our rightful place in those areas. Not even the Germans really did think that way. They were not even that extreme, to be honest with you, in the Nazi times. And a lot of things that you might hear, a lot of it is not true, and it's exaggerations. And maybe in some instances things like that were true, I don't know. But there's even lots of official papers after World War II where the U.S. admits, the U.S. and the Red Cross and other nations, Switzerland and France and things, admit that there were no mass exterminations in these concentration camps. There's documents, signed documents from those years. And at that time, anybody that would say something different were to be prosecuted, believe it or not. And now it's the other way around. If you do not go along with that, in a sense, you'll be prosecuted. Possibly. It's against the law to deny the Holocaust in Germany, or you go to prison, believe it or not. I don't know. And a lot of what I'm talking about in these last videos that I'm saying is a lot of this stuff is like there is kind of a truth movement coming out, but it doesn't mean that things are necessarily going to get that much better. And you can hear that Donald Trump, he still wants to do if you think Biden's sanctions are bad, Trump wants to put real sanctions from hell against Russia. And he thinks that that's okay. It's not that he's going to be spilling any blood or nothing like that, which is at least a step in the right direction. But I don't know. Sanctions are an act of war as well. Anyway, I wasn't going to be talking about these sort of things in this video, so let me keep going on to something else. Some of you people have even made comments and said you like it when I go off into these tangents, but I'm just going to make this video much, much longer. And by the way, because this is a lot of buildings that are governmental around here, some people, it's even possible that that guy right there, they have people here that are like watching to make sure that they don't see suspicious people around. It's just like that in the United States. As a matter of fact, I worked with people like that. I had one time when I was escorting people like presidents and things like that, which I did on occasion. I knew some of the people, and I see them walking around on the streets acting as if they're just regular people on the road, and I know that they are highly trained people, highly trained. And when I mean that, I mean that really, because I went to the range with some of these people, and I tell you what, you do not want to be in the direction of wherever their gun is pointed and have them angry at you, because these people are very, very, very good from a distance. So you see this tank over here away? And if you're standing over, oh, here's some soldiers. If you're standing and you're shooting over that way, these people are so good that they can put all the bullets inside of your mouth. They're so good. Like I said, there's some people, some soldiers over there guarding this area. Real Belarusian soldiers. And there's some nice Jeep area thing right there. I'll show this tank here. It's a theater over that way. Written in Belarusian, of course. So I only know a couple of the words, close enough to Russian. 2 words I don't know. Okay, let's keep going. Damn you, Duke! You got to start getting back. Start talking about what you're supposed to be talking about. I wonder if I should go down there. So. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, Starmer, the reason, well, Macron, he's all for sending troops there. And like I say, he believes it's for, well, he wants everybody to believe that it's for peacekeeping purposes. And Starmer, he's balking at sending troops to Ukraine for peacekeepers because he's trying to figure out a way that he can sell it to the sell it to the British people. I guess Macron, he knows his days are done and he's going to try to fit it in no matter what anyway and send troops there. He doesn't care what his people think. He just wants to send the troops there. And it makes you really wonder who these people are working for. Look at like Joe Biden. He flushed in billions of dollars in his last days towards Ukraine. And it just kind of makes you really wonder, like, what do these people expect? You know what it is? Obviously, it's the corporations. Because they know they can't win against Russia. They know they can't. And that Trump is coming in and he is balking at sending money there. Or even troops. He doesn't want blood to be spilled necessarily, and he doesn't want to waste money, and he knows it. It's just like a black hole, throwing money into a black hole with a fire going down below. But I don't know, maybe a lot of these people that are invested into Ukraine, and the whole reason why Biden wants to keep it going is to get these people richer and richer and richer. They don't care about winning a war. And I think it was Julian Assange. She says these wars are not fought to be won. These wars are fought to continue, to keep going, because people are making a lot of money. And that's the whole purpose of these wars, making money. It's not to win. They don't want to win the war. They want to keep the war going. And maybe there's even a reason why Netanyahu funded Hamas. Did I just say that? He funded Hamas. He made sure that Hamas got funding. You know? And then he provoked this just as much as the West provoked Russia to starting the military operation, special military. It's incredible stuff, how this stuff works, you know? How we're all fooled. And guess where all that money's coming from, people? It's coming from your pockets! Thank you very much. Thank you. That is what they should be saying. So, wow. Okay, let me keep going here. Well, Trump, he does not want to necessarily be a full member of the Hate Russia Club. Maybe it's the Hate Russia Club for violence, but of course he's still, in a certain way, he doesn't hate Russia, but the United States has, I don't know if it's an unwritten doctrine of keeping any country that can possibly be any kind of economic competition to the United States, that they got to push them down. You know, but they did it to even many countries that are not very prosperous. So, yes, and he's also seeking to take away Russia's income to make sure Russia cannot, you know, make a lot of money. Obviously, I don't know what this building is. Of course, it's added onto that building over there. And as you see, this is another thing for you to consider. I am right now filming government buildings. I was here in the 1980s during the Cold War. Not in Belarus. I was here on this side. I was in East Germany. You're not allowed to be filming any government buildings at all. And if you go, you can film in supermarkets. You can film virtually anywhere in Belarus except for on military bases. Anywhere where the public is allowed, you can film. And it's not like that, believe it or not, in places like Germany. I was filming in a supermarket in Germany, and they came to me, and then a bunch of them, and it's as if it was like on the Soviet Union. And like I talk about a revolution, and a revolution, of course, the definition is a turning over. And this is all turning over. It's turning over to where what we used to look at as, you know, some of the norms of the Soviet Union, that's now like that in the West. And what we thought, or maybe was, free in the West, it's like that now over here. It's just something for you to think about. This is really incredible stuff. And you never thought you would ever see these days, but it's, I mean, if you're old people like, well, young people like me, 24 years old. So that's just to keep things going. Looks like they're doing a real heavy renovation here. Look at that. All the windows are taken out. I can't really, you guys can see better than me. I'll pull this thing up here. Tell me what they're doing on the building there. I don't know if that's a private building or if it's a government building. So let's keep on going here. Another funny thing. I don't know if you all heard this. Maybe you did. But apparently it's either happening as I right now or it's going to happen. But there's supposed to be some agreement, a 100-year agreement signed of cooperation between the UK and Ukraine. Can you imagine that? 100 years, 100-year agreements. What is this young people here? Look at this, maybe from school. A lot of them, they don't have coats on. It's really strange. Look at that, none of them have coats on for the most part. Huh? Something strange is going on here. It's not really super cold out. Just a little bit here. Okay. What else here? 100-year agreement. I'm waiting for Medvedev to come up with a tweet about this. And pretty girl, huh? I'm waiting for Medvedev to come up with a tweet. He's going to probably say, why don't they make it a 1,000-year agreement? And think about how this works in the West here. You know, how honest they all are. And they've always been. What do you think that paper is worth that they're going to make this agreement on? I can tell you one thing, that, in fact, I was going to walk across this road. I think I'm in the United States. Here in Belarus, you got to use crosswalks. Does that mean I got to walk all the way back there? Oh, there's one thing right over there. I just wanted to take a look over here. I'm not going to do that. By the way, I think a lot of the people that work for Lukashenko and all that, that's their pharmacy right there. That's where they get it. And I'm not far right now from where I have done walks. It's not really that far from where I live. I mean, on the metro, just a couple stops. And there's a metro stop not far from here. I've walked in an area not far from here called, what's it? Pirshemaiskaya. That's that weird metro stop that's the only one in all of Minsk that you exit on the right side rather than on the left side. So I call it the Matrix Metro, but whatever. So if you want to know that. Okay, so anyway, if Medvedev comes up with one, he's going to say, why don't you make it 2,000 years? Because I just mentioned, like I said, that I have something else to mention about, like, say, the Minsk agreements. You know, the West, they didn't honor those. They didn't honor them at all. And they said, we just tricked Russia. We signed this, ratified by the United Nations, which, you know, is like a paper tiger with no claws and no teeth. Doesn't matter what the heck they do anyway. I don't even know what the point of it all is. You go sit there and you get official, you pay a bunch of diplomats and all that to sit around and complain. And if the West doesn't want to do anything, they just don't do it. You know, there's nothing to hold their feet to anything. I don't know. I really don't know what the purpose of it all is. So, let's walk here, wherever the heck this is at. I don't have any idea. Somebody wants to come here. Just when I start to walk here, and it looks like nobody ever goes here. There might even be snow. I thought it was trash. But, okay. So, yes. And by the way, I guess Poland, who has been building up their military drastically over the past some odd years, and they want to be the biggest military power in all of Europe. But they don't plan on sending any, well, not officially. They don't officially plan on sending any troops into Ukraine. But even as Scott Ritter has mentioned, and a lot of people, that a lot of the language, when they hear the chatter over the radio during the, you know, on the front lines and all that, it's most of the time it's in Polish. So Poland has a lot of troops in Ukraine. Oh, they're mercenaries. Well, they're not mercenaries, you know. You know they're not mercenaries. The United States, and it's a very well-known fact, the United States has soldiers in Ukraine. That's undeniable fact. It's also an undeniable fact that France has soldiers in Ukraine. And you don't even have to, I don't have to see any papers, I don't have to see any evidence about this. When I was in the military, we had soldiers in places that was not even quite yet a military operation of the United States, such as Iraq. We had soldiers deep into Iraq long before Desert Storm started. How do I know that? Because there were soldiers in my unit that were in there. They were far beyond. They were storming bunkers already and taking prisoners long before Desert Storm ever even started. It's incredible. That's how I know this stuff. I know this from experience. And a lot of people, even my unit, didn't know that until the people came back, you know, in my platoon and in my company and all that, and they told about it as well. So, okay, what else? Oh, that's what I was going to mention. Okay, you know why? You know, this is a very good thing. It's something. It's just a suspicion of mine. Do you know why Poland does not want to officially send any troops there? Because, and I've mentioned this in other videos, I think other people have as well. I don't know, a lot of people in the West do not talk about this for some reason, but Poland, one reason why they don't want to send their troops there, at least official troops there, and in larger numbers, so to speak, is because they have them on the Belarusian border. Well, why do they have them on the Belarusian border? Well, they've even talked about sometime possibly going into Belarus, and it's like, well, what does Belarus do to Poland? As you know, Lithuania and Poland, they used to have a union. It used to be like one country, and they have actually, it's like a grouping. Like there's Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and to a large extent, always maybe also Estonia, and that's the Baltic countries and Poland. You can call it always the Baltic countries and Poland, because they all pretty much are aligned in a lot of ways, such as militarily with things. They're great militaries, like But anyway, Poland does have a very large military, bigger than Germany's right now, I guess. They got a lot of equipment. They have a lot of things on order. If you hear about, remember when they were talking about, I think, I don't even know how many they had after that, but it was like how many HIMARS systems that they had in Ukraine. It was I think 24 or whatever. Well, Poland ordered 600 to put on the border of Belarus. I don't know how many they have right now. How fast can the United States make those? But one of their biggest wishes is to be a huge military power, Poland. And what do you think they're going to use it for? Do you think they're going to you think they're so scared of Russia? Lukashenko doesn't have any people really on the borders, and Lukashenko has the military of Belarus is about half the size, and a lot of them were not really even that well trained. They have apparently a very good special forces units in Belarus. I've heard that from people that don't like the government. So I don't know, what does that tell me? If they don't like the government and they say that, maybe there's some truth to that. Okay, I got to keep on going, Dookie boy. It's not that I have a lot, but I'm just chattering a lot, talking about a lot of stuff I never was planning on talking about here. And I should get away. You guys don't want to see the backside of some building, do you? No, I don't think so. I just thought I would wander back here and show you some garbage cans over there. This is obviously a residential place. It's actually in a very good place. The building may not be, maybe, I'll tell you what, I highly suspect they might even renovate it again, even though it looks like maybe it was renovated maybe 10 years ago. It's just not a very appealing looking building. It's probably in the Stalin times. If you look at a lot of things, one sort of a sign often that can tell you if it's Stalinist is it's 5 floors or less. So this one is 4 floors, and after that they started putting in more, and then the real crappy buildings started coming in with Khrushchev. He was trying to outdo Stalin. He was jealous of Stalin. Stalin did some really architecturally, a lot of amazing things. So he made, like I said, some mistakes, just like some of these other previous leaders. And he was from Georgia, as you know, but most of the leaders of the Soviet Union were Ukrainian. Wait a minute, what about the Holodomor? What about Ukraine always saying that they were treated so poorly by the Soviet Union, by the leadership of the Soviet Union? Oh, because they didn't give us enough land. They made Ukraine, which was the biggest country in all of Europe, but no, they treated them badly, and they made so much. You think about all the factories that mostly Russia, and they built huge amounts of factories. They did so much for Ukraine, and then they sit around crying, I'm like the abused stepchild. And Ukraine got more than almost every country. But there was mass corruption even those days in Ukraine. Ukraine, sadly enough, is a country that has a lot of corruption, and they always have had a lot of corruption, long ago. So I could tell you things. When I was in Bulgaria on vacation, and I was staying in a place, an older couple came, very, somewhat wealthy people, even from Ukraine, and they said they wish they had a leader like Lukashenko. And I was hearing that from a lot of people. Even a lot of Russians say they wish they had a leader like Lukashenko. As a matter of fact, somebody posted online just some days ago, they have big posters and things like that in Austria, you know, that they want, you know, with big pictures of Lukashenko, and they want their country to be more like Lukashenko. And you know what's the really strange thing is from Poland, and they even admit that they have a propaganda campaign, and they've got so many Belarusians to hate their government, to hate Lukashenko, you know. And a lot of us that come from different countries, when we come to Belarus, and we're like all amazed. It says, there's no crime here. Why is everything clean? You know, and there's you know, corruption. You don't hear about it. Everything runs really well in Belarus. What's going on here? And then some people, they tell us, you know, how much they dislike the government, you know, and we're saying, and all of us are saying, what the heck is going on? Well, what should be the objectives of a leader of a country? Low crime, maybe infrastructure. The roads are for the most part all paved everywhere in Belarus. Nothing gets really that severely done. And people like me that came here in about the year 2000, when the country was not very great so much, but even like what they're doing over here with this building, looks like that's really extensive renovation over there. But they continually renovate these buildings and paint them, and you have to do a lot of that. There's cold winters here, so you have to continually paint this stuff and all that. And then why don't you go to some place like Moldova, you know, which they want to be part of the European Union, and they can look at Belarus and Russia and see how nice and how vastly improved things are since the time of the Soviet Union. But yet they want to be like some place. Like I went to Berlin last summer, and I couldn't believe it. This would all be full of weeds, and they would be up past your knees if this was in Berlin or in a lot of places in Germany, you know. Very unkept and crumbling, graffiti everywhere. You can gag because the smell of urine is all over the place, you know, in any kind of place where there's any bushes or something, and you see the police out there, and you see people getting arrested and them questioning people, and drunks and people doing drugs on the streets. Boy. And it's like that as you see in the United States, but yet they want a country like that, and they don't want one like this. And I don't understand it. And the Belarusians, I talked to another American, and you know, we were talking. I just met this guy. I met a guy. I know him now, and he's got a channel as well, but it's about a different thing. It's about medical things. But I talked to him, and we were saying, well, you know what? You know, it's really strange, right? You know, and he says, well, Belarusians need to get out more, which he means is to go to different countries and see what it's like there. Maybe live there for a while, and some of them do. Some of them actually like it. Maybe they're highly trained and they got good jobs, get a lot of money and all that. But a lot of time they have to also realize, yeah, maybe they are getting a lot of money, but where is your money going? How much money do you have left after you pay your rent and all of the other things? And they believe, you know, you get into the system in the United States, and it's like a big race, and you're on this treadmill and you can't get off. Some of them are like that. But then I've even heard of a lot of guys, they go there and they make money. This is really strange. They did really well in Belarus, so they make a lot of money here. They go over to the West, they get broke, and they come back to Belarus and make some money, and then they go back into the United States. That is kind of strange. It's hard to believe. You know, you don't really make so much money over here, even though you don't need as much money over here. But it's like, anyway, like I said, another subject that I don't want to be talking about. I should try to hurry up here. So I was talking about the troops. People, they wanted to send troops there. Certain people do and certain people don't. Well, they say they don't, but they actually do, but they just need an excuse to send it. I don't think Poland really wants to send troops to Ukraine. I think they already know, because they've already had a lot of troops there, and a lot of them coming back in coffins, so they don't want to really go for that. And they know Russia is serious. Russia said, you know, you bring them, you know, send them here, and you know, make sure you have a lot of coffins ready at home, because they're going to be coming back that way. And Trump doesn't really know. Some people think, I don't know if Trump has got the message yet, that he's talking maybe about peacekeepers. I don't have any idea, but you never know what he's going to use against Russia with leverage. And I think one of those is he's going to give, like I said, sanctions from hell. If that's even possible. I don't know how many thousands of sanctions are already on Russia. I don't know. Is it working? I don't think so. But what he's going to probably do is start threatening and, I don't know, pressuring all kinds of countries in the world, anybody that does any business with Russia, such as India, whatever. It's going to be really an exciting time, you know. And like I said, maybe there's going to be less aggression, less physical aggression, of blood spilled, but there's going to be a lot of pressure. Trump is not necessarily a nice guy. He might not be stupid and being a killer and whatever, like maybe Biden and all of his buddies and friends and Netanyahu, but he's not going to be a friend of Russia, I can tell you that. So, okay, and Biden is now claiming that he is the one that brought the ceasefire about between Hamas and Israel. Whether it's going to work or not, I don't know. Apparently Israel's already broken the ceasefire and they bombed places already. One of them killed 18 people. But that's normal in the West, and Israel especially. Like when they had this ceasefire or whatever, this agreement with Lebanon, with the Hezbollah, they were still bombing. I don't know if they still are now. I'm not following all that stuff too closely, but they're dishonest. That's one of the hallmarks of being a country in the West, is you can be dishonest, you know, and stretch the boundaries and do that sort of thing. Now, if you make an agreement with Russia, there will not be any more bombing. When they say they're not going to bomb, they're going to stop bombing. But it's not like that in the West. The West, a bunch of lying, dishonest people. That's how that works anyway. Okay. Oh, another thing that happened. Journalist. Blinken was giving his last journalist, conference. And I guess it was Max Blumenthal first. He was asking some questions. Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. He was asking some questions and they didn't like it. So they removed him. They moved him out first. And then there was some other journalist who's saying something or other. And they wrestled him. He was sitting down somewhere. So they wrestled him, put handcuffs on him. Look at the officials going somewhere here. But they put handcuffs on the guy and they dragged him out. That was incredible, absolutely incredible. In the out of the briefing room in Blinken. Let's see if I wrote down any of the questions that they were talking about. Oh yeah, well anyway, I think when we were dragging him out, he says, answer my damn question. You pontificate about free press. And what came to mind to me at that time was, I remember when it was during the Obama times, Helen Thomas, she was one of the most honored reporters that were, White House reporters in all of recent history in the United States. And she had her own seat in the front row, and she was even, a reporter back in the days of John F. Kennedy and all that sort of thing. So she's very, very well known and very prestigious as a reporter. And she asked a question to Obama, and she said, can you tell me of any countries in the Middle East that may have nuclear weapons? And that was a no-no question. And of course she was talking about Israel. And I mean, think about what goes on. And somebody has an expression, what was it? To find out who rules you, all you have to ask is, who can you not criticize? And she didn't even criticize, she was asking a question. But, as you know, and everybody knows that Israel has nuclear weapons. And Israel has the Dolphin-class nuclear-capable submarines, some of the most advanced submarines in the world. There's so much weaponry that Israel has that it would make your head spin. And as we also mentioned, I think in the last video, that Biden in January alone, and January is not over, it's not over yet, and Biden sent $8 billion in weapons to Israel. And I think it was in December, and everybody talks about that Biden sent a lot of money to Ukraine, and that was 2.5 billion. So, in a quickie session to send that much, but I don't know, what is it? It's nearly 200 billion they sunk into Ukraine. But don't worry, it came out of your pockets, and it went to corporations. A lot of them, for the most part, are American, but they're multinational corporations. So the money's not all getting spent in the United States anyway. Talk about corruption. I don't know, who's more corrupt, the United States or Ukraine? I don't know. That's a tough question to ask. Don't ask it though. So anyway, that guy like I said, they brought him out in handcuffs, and that's strange. And yes, last video I mentioned Scott Ritter's opinion of Blinken. You know, so this was about Blinken, and Blinken. He said that Blinken is maybe he is the puppet master, maybe of Biden. So maybe all the evil stuff that you know about Biden stems from Blinken. And Blinken, his family are Israeli lobbyists, quite a few of them. So obviously he is very pro-Israel, as is a lot of people in the United States government. And it makes you really wonder, well, who is in charge? You know, and it's kind of obvious that it's terrible to say this, but the United States is a puppet of Israel more than the other way around, of course. And that's very obvious. Israel always gets what it wants, always. When the U.S. says don't do this, don't do that, Israel does it anyway, and the U.S. doesn't do anything about it. And Israel knows this. A small country like that. It's very, and I don't know, I have my theories on why that happens. You know, the banking system, you know, it's not just because they are Jewish. You know, by the way, Max Blumenthal is Jewish, and they hauled him out of there. So just think about this stuff. It's there's some ties and things going on in the background right there, and I don't know if somebody was. Oh yes, that one reporter that they hauled away in handcuffs. I think he was going to ask. He didn't ask, but he was going to ask about the Hannibal Directive. I think somebody questioned him afterwards, and he was going to ask about the Hannibal Directive that Netanyahu had ordered, and people were talking about. And the Hannibal Directive, as you all know, that was about what apparently it was ordered, and what they. Somebody was going to probably take a picture. I don't know. But what was happening there is that Netanyahu, he said to even kill Israelis to keep them from becoming hostages of Hamas. And I don't know if I'm going to get deleted for saying this, but anyway, that's what the story is. That if there's any real, appears to be any danger that they're going to be taken, you kill them as well. And they say 1,300, I think, Israelis were killed, and the real number, I think, is really 300 Israelis were killed. But the vast majority of those, maybe most all of them, were all killed by the Israelis themselves. And Max Blumenthal exposed that. And of course, you know, they don't like Max Blumenthal, and Max Blumenthal is kicked out of a lot of press conferences for that because he tells the truth. One of the best investigative reporters. That's just in case you didn't already know. So, I'd like to talk with Max Blumenthal. Anyway, Max Blumenthal, he talked it's a lot more than just what I told you, because there's a lot of things that he talks about, and he has witnesses in Israel of things that happen, you know, lots of stuff that goes on in Israel. So that's about it. It's like, I don't know why these guys are all together. So, okay, we talked about the Minsk Accords already, send troops. Why did I turn this thing over that way again? Okay. Another thing Max Blumenthal was mentioning, that why is it, he says that Blinken is destroying, I think did he say his religion? Well, anyway, that he's destroying Judaism. And I guess that also means, apparently, that, and I didn't, it's very possible, Blinken is also Jewish. But you know, makes you wonder, about like 5% of the United States is Jewish, and how come they have so many of them in the government? Jews. I'm not against Jews, really. I love Max Blumenthal. He's a Jew, so, you know. But I guess they would say that I'm against them, just like they do with Candace Owens. If you say anything negative against Israel, anything negative about Israel, or anybody that's Jewish, then you're an anti-Semite. So you have to say that all Jews, every one of them, are the greatest people on the face of the earth, and never have any criticisms, and as well as Israel, you know. So yes, and mostly that's about all I have today. It is about all I have. There might have been other news and things. I didn't even want to make this video this long, even though it's turned out to be, it looks like 50 minutes again, just like the last time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yes, if you are first time here, which I doubt very much. YouTube doesn't really want other people to watch these videos, but just in case you are, press the subscribe button and the like button. And I'll try to keep videos like this going. I'm busy doing school right now. Maybe I'll have better content, and so I don't know, the content's not that bad. Maybe the places I go and bad weather, I can't control that, you know, is I got to get a better selfie stick. This one's all wobbly, but yeah, I can still make improvements. Mostly I'm just concerned about the content, and a lot of people say that that's what's the most important thing anyway. So but like I said, thanks for joining me, and those that write comments, thank you very much for the comments. And since this is Friday, I'm wishing you all a nice weekend, and till the next one, bye for now. Bye bye.